Previously, we know when we design a very high quality, studio level quality courses, is usually need an instructional design team. So it will be include instructional designer, video audio producer, motion graphic designer, and also if you want to translate the content, localize it into different languages, you also need the localization team to help you to localize the content. But now with generative AI, we do want to provide all-in-one tool for the instructional designer. Actually, once they have an idea, they can use AI to generate and polish their script and use an avatar. We call it AI avatar. It's like your digital twin, and you do not need to go into a video studio. You can directly use the avatar to generate that training content. And if you want to translate that, you can also use AI to translate it into different languages.
Welcome to Edtech Insiders, the top podcast covering the education technology industry. From funding rounds to impact to AI developments across early childhood, K-12, higher ed, and work, you'll find it all here at Edtech Insiders.
Remember to subscribe to the pod, check out our newsletter, and also our event calendar. And to go deeper, check out Edtech Insiders Plus, where you can get premium content, access to our WhatsApp channel, early access to events, and back channel insights from Alex and Ben. Hope you enjoyed today's pod.
For this week in EdTech Deep Dive, we are talking to Joy Chen. She's an enterprise account manager at HeyGen, one of the fastest growing AI video companies. Joy holds a master's degree in education technology and instructional design from Teachers College, Columbia University. And over the past 3 years at HeyGen, she's worked closely with learning and development leaders across K-12 schools, universities, and corporate training organizations. She brings a unique perspective, combining her expertise in education and technology to help customers adopt AI video solutions effectively. Joy Chen, welcome to EdTech Insiders.
Hi, Alex. Thanks for having me. And I'm very glad to have this opportunity to join EdTech Insider community to share my learning and observations in the past 3 years.
Yeah, we're really curious about them. So, we've talked about HeyGen on the podcast. It is a very interesting company, does hyper-realistic, interactive avatars that can look and sound like historical figures, but also look and sound like anybody. And they're very easy to train. Tell us a little bit about your experience with HeyGen. What do you came to HeyGen from an educational perspective, and where do you see AI video, especially the type of video HeyGen does, making the biggest difference in enhancing instructional design?
Yeah, I think I joined HeyGen 3 years ago. I started my internship with HeyGen when I still in Teachers College. So my major is instructional design, I think digital media. So in my program, actually, we have a lot of alumni. Once they graduate, they become an instructional designer in large corporate. So when we first when I first joined HeyGen, we really want to find early product market fit because we're an early startup. We really want to find out how the instructional designer can using HeyGen, this kind of AI video generation platform, into their day-to-day workflow. So my first project for HeyGen is we done a lot of interviews with instructional designers and also some TC professors, try to understand what is their pain point to create content for the corporate. I think how we think about this kind of AI platform, generative AI, can help for instructional designer is we do can provide instructional designer this kind of platform. Previously, we know when we design a very high quality, studio level quality courses, is usually need an instructional design team. So it will be include instructional designer, video audio producer, motion graphic designer, and also if you want to translate the content, localize it into different languages, you also need the localization team to help you to localize the content. But now with generative AI, we do want to provide an all-in-one tool for the instructional designer. Actually, once they have an idea, they can use AI to generate and polish their script and use an avatar. We call it AI avatar. It's like your digital twin, and you do not need to go into a video studio. You can directly use the avatar to generate that training content. And if you want to translate that, you can also use AI to translate it into different languages. So we do want AI provide this kind of all-in-one solution for digital for instructional designer team, and then like they just uh, much easier and smooth workflow for their day-to-day content creation.
Yeah, so, I mean, what I'm hearing you say, and it's a really interesting take on it, is that usually you need a whole team to do a high quality, video based course. You need many roles sort of working together, of which the instructional design is only one input. But when you have an AI avatar that can play the role of the host, and that could be you have an enormous library at HeyGen of pre-existing avatars, or as you say, a digital twin, and that can be localized and translated, and it can be done in much lower cost, almost real time generation. In a lot of ways, it actually puts more of the power of the sort of reins into the instructional designer themselves, rather than it having to be this whole team project. It can be a smaller team, more efficient, easier to update, but the instructional designer gets this toolkit to create AI avatars and create a course, very high quality studio level course, without needing to be quite as collaborative. They can inject the instructional design closer to the core of the product.
That's right. I do think like we provide this kind of toolkit, and instructional designer actually can be more independent. And once they have an idea, they can actually just start to create and generate.
Yeah, and do the graphics and the multimedia and stock footage, this all these different pieces that can sort of go into it. One other aspect of the HeyGen avatar suite that I find just incredibly exciting is the interactivity. And one of the things that educational video has always been, considered really powerful, but also somewhat passive. And we know that learning is not really passive. People should be actually engaging. So sitting and watching a video, you can definitely learn a lot from it, but it's a little bit of a passive experience. Can you talk about the interactivity and how HeyGen's interactive AI avatars work, and what you think the potential there is for instructional design?
Yeah, I think you mentioned that feature, which I'm also very personally excited, is interactive avatar. We now also call it live avatar. So I think firstly we mentioned like HeyGen have a capacity like you can use your avatar to generate video content, but we know like video, as you mentioned, is one-way deliverable, so it's a little bit passive for the learners to learn the content. But interactive avatar and live avatar, actually like you can imagine like the avatar can join a live conversation and chat with that learners, the users, and you can set up the knowledge base to create the knowledge base, and HeyGen will be like the visual layer, the avatar visual layer to talk with the end user. So you can set up the knowledge base is you can imagine you can just create your own large language model, or you can also use, for example, Gemini or ChatGPT to do your customized uh, GPT, and it's just like the brain of that avatar.
Right.
And HeyGen's avatar is like the visual layer and can have the lip sync and directly talk with the learners. And now we want to also make it much customizable, so you can create your own interactive avatar. You can also try to use some animated character, because when we think about schools, think about keys, we probably want to make that learning experience more gamification and more engaging. So we can also create some animated character to capture their attention. But this is based on a live chat. So we do see some early adoption for our customer, like using it in a real world use case for training, especially for this kind of conversational based training for sales enablement, for this kind of like upskilling coaching, this more conversational style role play training.
And it really starts to get close to this incredibly exciting, sort of almost like science fiction inspired idea of being able to pull up a a tutor or a character, as you say. It could be an animated character. It could be somebody who, it could be an avatar that looks and sounds exactly like your teacher or your trainer. It could be a historical figure, if sky is the limit, and actually converse back and forth with that person. And as you say, their brain, I like that metaphor, right? It's like you give that avatar a brain, a knowledge base, data to work with, and then some variant of a large language model and some behavior, and suddenly it can act in certain ways, know certain things, and give you the feedback you need. It could be trained on the corporate policies of a company or the curriculum
Yeah.
of a K-12 school, right?
Yeah, that's right. You can just customize that. Like as we mentioned, like for example, for the corporate, if you want to create a compliance training avatar, you can just customize that knowledge base, or just a new hire onboarding field. Just upload that onboarding knowledge base. And also, like for K-12, you probably just can, based on the your learning goals or your textbooks, to customize that brain. And Alex, I also feel another exciting thing about interactivity is we try to also enhance the video's interactivity, because we talk about live avatar is like interactive avatar, but for the video we also try to develop some features. We call it branching and interactive quiz, because we know when we design a learning experience, usually we use learning management system to design that branching and also interactive quiz feature. Now we also want to directly build it into HeyGen, and instructional designers, learning experience designers can directly use this to design that and export as score and upload to their learning management system. So this is another interactivity feature we are building now.
Yeah, and people who have been in the L&D field for a while, or have known about this video technology, that type of branching scenario based training has been something that we've aspired to, and sort of has been built in various ways over the last decade or so. But I feel like what's happening with LLMs and AI, and with what you're doing at HeyGen, is you take that branching type of work, which has been very manual to build, right? You have to build every single branch of the trade. Do you ask the user if they want to do X or Y, and they pick Y, and then from Y they make three choices, and each one has a different video output. It's powerful and it's interactive, but it's very time consuming to make. And I feel like what's so exciting about LLMs is you can have virtually infinite branches based on much more intelligent understanding under the hood about what's being discussed in a particular knowledge base or a particular learning goal. One of the things that's so interesting about what you're doing, because you're coming from Teachers College, because you're bringing all this instructional design experience, you've been doing some mapping between some of the most common and most well used instructional design techniques and what's possible with HeyGen avatars. And I'd love to hear you talk a little bit about some of the instructional design and teaching theories that can be brought to bear in the context of an avatar based learning experience.
Yeah, I think what I'm thinking about for HeyGen, we do think we provide a multimedia learning solution for the users, because actually they can use AI avatar to be the narrator, the presenter of their video content. And also you can create some templates. When we think about templates, I think if we use instructional design concept to perspective to think about, it's really like a score forwarding of your content. You can set up the learning goals, learning objectives, and design that chapters, video chapters, to match to well design your content. And also, like what I'm thinking about is also you we do want to think about like personalized learning
Right.
theory. When you have more when you when AI help you to reduce the production cost, you actually can create much like personalized content to approach the audience. And also, I think for the live avatar, if we think about we build up a live avatar, but we have 100 different students to get approach to the avatar. Actually, the avatar can be a personalized coach and personalized tutoring. So they receive much more personalized education. So I think it's very exciting.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah, the scaffolding, the personalization, and the idea of the AI avatar being able to act like a tutor and act like an effective tutor, ideally in the exact context in which somebody's trying to learn, whether they're a corporate employee, whether they're a lifelong learner, whether they're a higher education student. You sort of are putting together the front layer, the delivery layer, the underlying knowledge base and instructions, and then the behavior, which is a particularly, I think, really exciting part of this. So there's been some interesting studies. I know that HeyGen has been starting to really look into, in terms of that. What does the behavior look like? Because this avatar, it looks totally realistic. It speaks in any language. It can speak in different voices. There's this sort of delivery piece, but what's happening in the brain, as you say, can be really trained to be more pedagogically valid than an off the shelf LLM. And I think you've been thinking about different types of both different types of avatars and how people experience them, and different types of sort of teaching methods under the hood and how people experience them. Tell us a little bit about where you think this is all going. Do you feel like there will be a sort of tutoring brain that may be created by a frontier model? It may be created by a platform like yours, but a type of sort of behavior that tries to imitate what a really effective tutor does, and then combined with an incredibly smooth multilingual front end. Is that where you think we're going to get, where everybody will have a personalized tutor, has a knowledge base, has the behavior built in? Where do you think this is all, how do you think these pieces are going to come together?
Yeah, I think this is a very interesting topic. We have collaborate with some like universities, especially this technology is really new. So we really want to find out how it can better support education for to build this kind of more effective learning experience. So we work with universities. I think a very interesting use scenario is for the kids' early literacy education. So we actually try to create some customer avatar, some animal avatar, and also teacher avatar. Try to compare like different result, like how like the student interact with that specific avatar, and to see to combine the result. And it's also very interesting. The result is for the customer avatar is actually have a higher outcome. Like the student have a high engagement rate when they use their own avatar, but also have a little bit customization compared with teacher's avatar and animal avatar. So this is a early finding we had. And another interesting thing is we also partner with some other customers, like they are trying to build us some role play product, role play training,
Right.
and like conversational based training platform. And they also try to think about what's the different like avatar's emotion will affect the learning and training result. So because now we provide this kind of very formalized avatar, like looks very professional and friendly, but the customer also requests if the avatar can have some sadness face
Mm-hmm.
or crying, and have this kind of different emotions, and how it will be affect the conversation and learning experience. So it's very interesting.
It's so interesting. And I just want to read back some of what I'm hearing you say, because I think you're touching on things that are so important and so relevant to this field right now. And we're only beginning to understand them. So when you talked about the custom avatars, you're saying in an early childhood, a study that HeyGen did in early childhood literacy use case, children were asked to engage with a couple of there were different options. There's one that looked like a teacher, realistic teacher, one that looked like a sort of animated animal, right? This was more like a character, and then one that was actually themselves, but like a customized version of themselves, like talking to themselves in a costume or themselves with some kind of customization. And the third one, the customized version of themselves, so a kid talking to their own self as a digital twin avatar, was the most engaging. Did I have that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's really interesting and something that I think is, there's a lot to chew on there. And then this emotional idea, it's, because I think another thing we've sort of take for granted perhaps is when we think of an AI tutor or an AI character that might work with a student, we tend to think of it as, acting like a teacher, acting like a tutor, sort of being authoritative, explaining. But suddenly we're not limited to that paradigm anymore. If you had an avatar who was very sad and you want to help them and teach them something to make them feel better, I could imagine that being very engaging and motivating to a student. Or maybe even in a corporate training, it could be an angry customer, right? You're doing a role play with somebody who's really angry at you because something's going on, and you get to actually work with them and settle them down. The emotional side of this is also, I think, an open question about what kind of avatar emotion would work with what kind of learning experience. I mean, those are just two of, I feel like, many different open questions about what it means to learn from an avatar.
Yeah, I just feel like Avatar can provide more flexibility to mimic that scenario.
Right.
And previously, you very hard to find a lot of like teachers, actors
Right.
to help you build up that that like learning experience. But now you can set up that avatar and to match your like training goal. So I think it's just to provide more flexibility and also scalability.
Absolutely. And I mean, it feels like it becomes this new world. As you mentioned, instructional designers, don't always have the most resources. Sometimes they're working with a big team with lots of inputs. There's a lot of constraints. But the idea of suddenly, I like to think of AI giving everybody enormous power, basically, to do new things, capabilities, affordances we've never had before. Well, for an instructional designer who's trying to do a course or a corporate training course or a higher education distance course, suddenly they have this whole new toolkit of avatar technologies to try out, to play with, to use with their pedagogical knowledge. It's really an exciting moment, I think, for instruction. I'm a trained instructional designer too. I went to the same program that you did in Teachers College, and I'm trying to imagine what it would feel like graduating from that program with this type of tool at your disposal versus the much more out of the box old school branching scenario at best, but often it's just passive video or lots of text. Suddenly you have interactivity, you have avatars that can look like anything you'd like, they can be pop up and push or pull. What do you think the future of an instructional design will look like in this world?
Yeah, this is a really nice question. I think, um, so firstly, I feel the same. I feel very excited every day when I talk with the customer because most of my customer, they also from like training use case or this kind of instructional design background. What I'm thinking about the next step for how instructional designer can use this kind of AI video platform is probably related to AI agent.
Yeah.
Because recently HeyGen also released a new feature we call it video agent. It's actually prompt to video. You can type a video idea, prompt your video ideas, and you can generate short form content. Recently, I think it's good for the marketing use case or if you want to create short clips. But what I'm thinking about probably in the next 6 months or 12 months is if I am an instructional designer, I already have a very comprehensive learning goals, the text-based content. I can just use AI to generate that end-to-end course. I can generate a 40 minutes course or 1 hour course. It's really just a entire course. And I can use AI avatar be the A role, be the narrator to teach the course. And also we have the B-roll generation. You can generate that visual representation to support the A-roll narration. So everything can be generated, and also very engaging, because myself is a visual learner, so I really like watch video. I think it's just let me really easy to understand the things and also help me to imagine things. So I think AI now just reduce the cost. Like we can generate a lot of things to visualize a lot of things. So I do think once I have a learning is kind of text-based idea, I can directly use this kind of AI technology to generate that end-to-end course. And also I can add interactivity to
Nice.
check the learning outcome. This is what I'm really hope like the product, the AI can help.
It is really exciting. I mean, I think one of the most powerful affordances of AI, generative AI, is to be able to translate content from one medium to another. And I think increasingly the translation we've been seeing more and more is, as you say, from text to video. We obviously just saw Sora 2 came out, just a couple of weeks ago and has become one of the most fastest growing, AI applications of all time. We've seen Google's Veo. We've seen all sorts of real Midjourney, Runway, Kling. It feels like text to video is becoming a absolutely core use case. And what you're saying about instructional design, about being able to take your 5-page curriculum of all the things somebody has to learn as a new hire, or they have to learn for a certain type of compliance training, or they have to learn for a curriculum of any kind, being able to translate the whole thing into a interactive video course at the touch of a button it's a pretty thrilling and pretty massive change in how it's worked in the past. I remember in my Coursera days, it would be, they'd have to plan every shot, every video so far in advance because they had to get the professors into the studio and record them and edit them and do graphics on top of them and do any kind of, translation if they were going to do that. And everything was sort of very waterfall, had to be planned way in advance. And if you wanted to update a video, it would take forever. It's just a totally different world now. It's really exciting. So and one thing I should mention, I am a huge fan of HeyGen's live avatar stuff. And one of the things that the interactive avatars, one of the things that I do very consistently when I'm talking to people and I just want to show them, like, this is what I think the future looks like for teaching and learning. I will pull up the HeyGen interactive avatars and just say, look, you can ask it any question. It's trained on a knowledge base. It's hyper realistic, but it can look like anyone. And it's and it's safe and it's multilingual. I'm like, there's no reason this won't be everywhere, and it feels like it's increasingly becoming everywhere. I know we're almost at time, so let me just give you one more very high level question, but I think we're going to have to be pretty quick with it, which is, in the next, you said HeyGen's been around for 3 years. That's right from the beginning of the sort of Gen I revolution. 3 years
Yeah.
from now, at the pace that we're changing, what do you think will be the most exciting thing we'll be able to do with AI avatars?
Yeah, I still think like most exciting things for me is live avatar, because now we just see the early adopters using it in learning. But what I'm thinking about is if we think about like each universities, K-12 schools, actually they can try to integrate this kind of live avatar AI learning companion to their classroom. Will be a really huge improvement. But I think between that, it's still need, I think from our side, we are like provide the technology,
Right.
but I do think it's need the instructional designers, this kind of learning expert to think about the gap between the real learning using scenario and the product, and to just fill that gap and bring this technology to the classroom. I think it still takes time, but it just needs a collaboration between
Yeah.
like both sides. And I think that this is also I feel very excited about that.
Me
Yeah.
too. Joy Chen is an enterprise account manager at HeyGen, one of the fastest growing AI video companies. it's really quite incredible. If you are listening to this and you haven't yet gotten onto HeyGen and tried out their avatar creators, their short form content, their interactive, it is really worth looking at. It is amazing technology, and we're working on a HeyGen avatar, here at AI Insider, at Edtech Insiders as well. Thank you so much for being here with us on Week in Edtech at Edtech Insiders. Joy Chen from HeyGen. Thanks for listening to this episode of EdTech Insiders. If you like the podcast, remember to rate it and share it with others in the EdTech community. For those who want even more EdTech Insider, subscribe to the free EdTech Insiders newsletter on Substack.